Hey, what's up, guys? It's Reed Young for TransformPoker.com. We're going to be reviewing a 6-max hand history where we have Ace-10 offsuit on the cutoff. I think when folded to, this is an extremely standard raise against almost any combination of players that can go behind you. You guys can see the cutoff, I'm sorry, the button and the small blind both called us. The big blind folded, so we're going multi-way to a flop. We flop top pair and the backdoor flush draw. So great flop for us. Continuation betting as a bluff is a great idea here, at least some percentage of the time. So you definitely want to be value betting some of the time. And this is one of the strongest hands that we can have on this board. So definitely a bet. I would recommend sizing all of your bets around 2/3 to 3/4 of the pot here. So I think 6 is slightly small, but not a huge deal. On the turn, it's a 7, so 5, 4, and 8, 9 both get there, but there's also a lot of worse 10s, and I think more importantly, a lot of overcard hands and semi-bluffs that we want to balance with. So I think we should bet the turn, and there's a lot of worse hands we can get value from. He might still have something like 6, 5, where now he has a pair and a straight draw, or something like Queen 10 of spades, where we just have a better kicker than he does. So it's a good time to get value on the turn. I like the sizing. Not too much to say here. And then the confusing part of the hand, I guess, comes on the river. The poster has a question here, like, okay, well, he goes ahead and he bets, which I don't think I like that much with this hand in particular, and with a lot of our range. And that's because our range is extremely weak relative to our opponents, so we can't be value betting every single hand here. If we're betting something like Ace 10, expecting to be called by Queen 10, there's only a few hand combinations that are worse than ours and that also play the hand this way. And that's also if he's not going to be turning them into a bluff by raising us. So there's a lot to consider, and a value bet looks worse and worse as you kind of pile on these factors with how the board ran out. Additionally, there's not a lot of air in his range because we do have the ace of diamonds, so that blocks a lot of the significant non-paired draws that he might have by the river, where we could bet and get him to fold, which you probably wouldn't want to do if he just had air. And then if we check, if he bets, his betting range is a lot stronger. So I would say this is probably a check fold against most players, even against people who are turning hands into a bluff. Their range is just going to be so strong here that it's going to be difficult to play well. So what you need to do is actually check some of your straights here as well to avoid exploitation. So that way when you check, it's not just like, hey, I don't have a straight, so you can take the pot if you want. So that's the important thing I think about this hand, and it's kind of one of those spots, like a lot of confusing spots or seemingly confusing spots, where the best way to deal with it is just to construct your range and your betting in a way that you don't even get into the spot. So betting 33 here really looks to me like, oh, I have, a good hand, maybe like 2 pair or slightly better, and please don't raise me. And if you want to call with good pot odds, you're welcome to do so. So I think a lot of competent players might pick up on that if this is some sort of exploitively sized blocker type bet on the river. Another idea that you guys can toy with is betting something a lot smaller, like 14 here. And so what that does is you get a really cheap bluff if your opponent is considering folding a hand like Jack 10, and say you might have like King Queen of diamonds or something like that. So one possible outcome is you get a very cheap bluff on the river. That's good. Another possible outcome, if you have a portion of your range like the hand that we do, you actually get a lot of calls from those hands like Queen 10 and Jack 10. And then another outcome is if you have a straight, like a 4, then you might induce a bluff raise from a missed flush draw, or from a made hand that's turning itself into a bluff, thinking like, hey, this guy just never has a straight to bet this size. And actually that did happen to me like yesterday, so kind kind of proof that it works, even if it's only if it's one hand. And I think a lot of people in general are getting the hang of turning hands into a bluff a lot more. So you definitely need to construct your game plan in a way that handles that type of thought process. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please consider hitting that like button. It really helps the channel grow, and I would definitely appreciate it. Alright, see you guys next time or in the comment section. Take care.